Welcome to the Fusionary Health Podcast. I have an incredible guest with me today. Holly Green is a acupuncture physician, a practitioner. She is someone who I have respected and loved for a very long time. I've known her for at least 6-7 years now?
At least.
Yeah. So welcome, Holly. Thank you for coming on my show.
Thanks, Shivani.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So I'd love to dive in because I know that you practice a special brand of acupuncture, a special kind of creation because you have all your own experiences that led you here. And it's a unique combo because I've never seen it in anyone else. So will you share your background and what got you to practicing the way you do?
Yeah. Well, by trade, or what I would call myself, is more of a sports acupuncturist because I like to pretty much specialize. I decided to specialize in that would be a good way for me to go because my background was in bodywork. And so it was sort of an evolving process over time. So I started out almost, 25 years ago. Makes me feel old. Doing massage.
Okay.
And specializing in neuromuscular reeducation.
Amazing.
And, went off in some different, more medical tangents with the bodywork. But I wanted something that I could carry into the future that had a little less stress on your own body.
Sure.
And I knew that acupuncture was up and coming.
Yes.
So I decided that I would branch off into acupuncture, go back to school again. My mom, who calls me the perpetual student.
A lot of us are, right?
Well, now it's forever. I don't care. I'll be a student of something forever. Because I keep learning more that I can bring to the table, and I like that. I like the involvement of having one skill set. I got into the sports stuff out of acupuncture simply because I had that bodywork skill set. Right. So I thought, well, this will be a nice niche, number one, and I can bring have more rabbits in my hat,
Totally.
So, and that evolved even more into learning about more of the use of electric stim.
Sure.
And between my two teachers, Matt Callison and Mike Corradino, I've really learned a lot with regards to all the aspects of sports medicine and then electric stim added to it.
Nice.
And how we can bring traditional Chinese medicine up into the 21st century.
Amazing. With
the e-stim. Sometimes I use it mostly, but sometimes I don't. And that was another evolvement.
Sure.
And now it's even evolving more because I want to learn more internal stuff. Okay. I'm heading more into the functional medicine side of things because I just think that there's such a need to add that to our everyday crazy society. And
absolutely,
it's balance.
Yeah, no, it is. Let's dive into that. So can you explain to me what is e-stim? Like if I came to you and I said, Holly, I've again messed myself up in my workouts. I went too hard, too heavy. I tweaked something. Like where and when do you use e-stim? And is it like a needle that vibrates, that gives you an electrical shock?
Well, no electrical shock involved.
I'm just curious. I'm like, how much does it hurt?
Maybe the special patients. You got to pay extra for that. No, but really if you utilize the acupuncture. Let's say you had some tight shoulders.
Sure.
So a general acupuncture treatment, we might put, and with a sports orientation, hit your trap muscle and rhomboid muscle. Those two together can work really well. If we add a little bit of electric stim to it, it feels like you put like an alligator clip on it. And the unit has different frequencies. It can be like a very low vibration kind of feeling that helps with cellular respiration and the muscle and basically enhances what the acupuncture is doing.
Okay.
And so we add that to the stem, for, let's say, on the traps and the rhomboids, and it just gets the blood flow, it opens up the muscle, it tonifies the muscle, and it just enhances the treatment.
Awesome.
And then I go in and do some body work on top of that. So it's just three magic things.
Got it. So it's like acupuncture plus. It's like an enhancement on top of the same principles of acupuncture where you were going to put those needles in those places, but you're enhancing the result of it.
And it's utilizing Chinese medicine, but just adding to it.
Right.
So it's just expanding on the Chinese medicine side of things because obviously we've learned a lot. It's evolved just like it evolved from 3,000 years ago. Here we are today.
Right.
And it just keeps evolving. So you don't want to stay away. go away from the Chinese medicine side of things. We just want to add to it.
Correct.
Because that's our foundation.
Awesome. And so when you see your patients, what kind of results have you seen from this?
Well, it's really good at kind of getting them back in the game. A lot of times, the runners, for instance, they like to overtrain.
Sure, of course, because they can't stop running.
Yep. And so, sometimes they'll come in with very tired legs, a lot of issues with hip rotation things. And so to do the acupuncture and balance out, that musculature.
Sure.
And bring the hips back into balance with the e-stim, even on sometimes I'll just do glutes and quads. And,
okay.
They'll come in with a dead leg, for instance.
Sure.
And they're good to go.
Amazing.
And so it just tonifies the legs. It gets the, blood flow through there, just like it's regular acupuncture.
Got it.
But they feel energized.
Got it.
With that, even more so. And then if somebody's a little more worked up, or let's say they're overtrained to where they've got inflammation too much, I might not use the e-stim. I might just do like maybe a micro stim or vibration, or just the needles themselves.
Sure.
So it just depends.
It's interesting because so many of us who love to work out aren't willing to give ourselves much downtime. Like my max downtime I allow is like 2 days. So when I go to practitioners, like I've been to PT for years and I just stopped going because their answer to me was stop working out. Yeah. And finally I said, that's not an option on the table. You need to find another way than that.
Yeah, and it's a balance though, because the thing is you can go to the gym and build muscle and you can run and do whatever, but you're building the muscle when you rest. You're not building it when you work out.
Sure.
So people can think of that. And then the recovery and help the blood flow. It just gets things much more, everything works better.
Sure. Well, let's talk about it from a preventive standpoint then for the athlete, right?
It's huge.
There's the everyday athlete. I'm like an everyday athlete. I don't actually win at any sport, but I really love exercise and what it gives me mentally and physically.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Everything.
So good for you.
Then there's people who are marathon runners, the 5K, 10K, half full marathon people. Then there's CrossFitters. There's, Spartan racers. And then there's probably like a whole layer of
100-milers, the ultra runners.
Wow. Yeah. And then there's like almost pro, and then there's pro.
And then there's all the professional guys.
Right.
Football, basketball, soccer, whatever.
Volleyball, golf, tennis. Here in South Florida, pickleball. The trend that is pickleball, I don't even know what to call
From
that.
our therapists, it's a moneymaker for us.
Every Fusionary practitioner is like, pickleball's awesome. Pickleball's a quarter of our business now.
I just wrote a new blog on it just for the pickleball players.
Yes, because it's a thing. So let's dive into...
It's easy to overdo it.
Yeah, I hear about it a lot. I've heard people who tore their Achilles tendon the first 10 minutes on that court.
Too much too soon.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. What can people do when they come to you to stay in the game of doing what they want? Because so many of us think of it as, okay, well, I hurt myself. Let me call Holly. Now I'll call. As opposed to, I just started to exercise again. And maybe I need to make sure from a preventive standpoint, I'm balanced and as soon as something starts to hurt, call. Because a lot of times people will, and I'm one of those people, like the other day, my ankle hurt. And I was like, I think I sprained my own ankle cleaning up my own house. It'll go away.
Happens. Yeah.
And it didn't go away. Kept thinking, it'll go away. It didn't go away. Finally, I was like, can you please go see medical massage and fix this? You want to lift heavy, and you are imbalanced right now. So you're going to cause an upstream problem.
Exactly. My biggest mission in life is to get people to just be proactive with everything. Everyone comes when they're broken,
right.
And it's just a Western medicine mentality,
right.
Because there's no reason to go to the doctor unless you're sick, because they won't, if you have insurance, they won't pay for it unless you're sick. There's no preventative. So it's in the mindset to not really do anything unless there's a problem. But by then it's too late. You've got a problem.
Right.
So if you can do some preventative, even if it's once a month, whatever budget and time entails, if you put that much effort into your sport or your body, whatever it is, you buy the bikes, you buy the shoes, you buy the whatevers, make sure you can do it.
Sure. I mean, we're buying the water bottles. We're buying you're right, the shoes, the outfits. We're outfitting the sport.
Yeah.
But we're forgetting to outfit our bodies for that sport.
And so the preventative is just huge. And not only the preventative, but let's say something does happen, you tweak something. A lot of times it will resolve itself within a short amount of time. But don't wait past that time. Like, just go and get some work done. It'll help it heal faster.
Correct. Bring that blood flow in.
Yeah, helps. That's what acupuncture does. That's what all healing modalities do. They increase the blood flow. They help your body respond better. They bring all the good nutrients to that area. I mean, we're always healing ourselves anyways.
Correct.
But it's going to take a lot more time when you don't add that prevention in, because you've already done something, you've already overdone it, or you've had... I don't think you can really prevent injury. I mean, it just happens. But you can prevent it from being worse, and you can help it from lasting longer.
Sure.
So.
Sure. I do think in some ways, though, we can prevent injury in the sense that when I'm in the gym and I have a choice which weight to pick up.
For sure.
Sometimes I'll go heavy and I'll say, you are hurting your forearms. You're going to make your elbow hurt again, and you're going to have to deal with that problem. Like, can you back out of it a touch? And then if you can tell that there's an imbalance, go to acupuncture, chiropractic, go to your modality that works for you and get yourself situated.
Exactly.
Otherwise, you're increasing your chance of hurting.
Yeah. You can definitely increase your, or decrease the possibility of injury. Because, I mean, nothing's 100%. You can do all the right things, and then one day where'd that happen? Am I getting old? Like, what?
I know. And I hear people complain a lot about getting old. And I look at them and I'm like, you are not getting old. This is inflammaging. This is inflammation plus aging equals aging too rapidly. And if we had put, like you said, proactive, preventive practices in place, you made a profound statement. We do think of going to the doctor as when we have a problem. Even I myself do. Can you imagine? I'm an Ayurvedic practitioner, and I think of it that way too. If I have a problem,
so programmed from the time you're born. I mean, it's just, and so you have to like really be mindful and say, wait a minute, that's not really how it needs to be. Like, I can make up my own situation here.
Right. Like, what is my life design? I think of it as life design sometimes. Sometimes I'll write out little plans. I found one in the car today, and it said like, wake up, meditate, aloe vera juice. Like, I had written out my plan for myself, because sometimes I'm going too fast in life to remember it. And so if we could all see acupuncture once a month, twice a month, like our reboot.
And all the modalities. Some people say, well, is it better to do acupuncture, chiropractic, massage? I'm like, yeah, all of it.
Sure. Yeah.
Someone will come to see me. Oh, should I not go see the chiropractor? Should I not No, do that, because they complement each other.
Correct.
Maybe not on the same day, but space it out. All the modalities help. I just, I don't think there's one thing for everything.
Sure.
And sometimes what I do might start the process, and then they might go get a massage, and it just finishes it off. Or they start with the massage, come see me, and I can get more technical stuff done. Right. And then they might need adjustment for this, that, or the other. I mean, we all are in the same healing modalities, but they just all complement each other very well.
Awesome. I agree.
Yeah.
So can you share some interesting patient stories? Because I hear about you in the community. I'll have people come up to me and say, Holly Green, I saw your product in her office. Oh. I go to her. She helped me with my this thing, my that thing. So it's cool, because I do hear about you every once in a while. I'm like, oh yeah, I know Holly. She's great.
That's funny.
So will you share some of those patient stories? Because I've heard some. I remember I met, I think, a CrossFitter firefighter out of your office. I met different people who work with you. So you share some of those stories.
Well, I think that, I'll tell you a couple of the most dramatic ones I've had I've had some people that have had literally some paralysis from an accident. Wow. 2 different ones. One had had a motorcycle accident, had hurt his shoulder, and had limited range of motion, in his hand. And another one had done something with her ankle. She had broken it, and then this was a long time ago, but she could not flex her ankle. And I said, let's try some things, So I was, just learning about some of the e-stim, of experimenting with it, this and that, and did that with the acupuncture. She literally got motion back in her foot, like on her own.
Wow.
Like, it started to like move by itself, and it, got some contraction with the muscle. We were both like, whoa. wow, this
Wow.
acupuncture works. I had just gotten out of school, I think. At the time. I'm like, wow, glad I invested in this art. It was magical. I mean,
Yeah.
there's been a lot of just different situations where maybe somebody's had a chronic issue for a long time.
Sure.
And we do a few treatments, and all of a sudden they're getting mobility back they haven't had in ages, and especially some of the older people.
Sure.
So that's really nice to see.
No, it's huge. I think sometimes some of us are seeking the modality that'll fix it, and oftentimes we've given up.
Well, yes. And I'll tell you what happens with some of the older people is the first thing they do is go to the doctor that prescribes them muscle relaxers and,
Sure.
Anti-inflammatories and prednisone and all these things
Right.
that serve their purpose
Sure.
when they're
Acute.
supposed to be.
Yeah.
And then none of that works because that's not really getting to the root cause of it, which is a whole nother thing in itself.
Yes.
And sometimes, a lot of times, I'm the last ditch effort. And it can even be the athletes. I'm the last ditch effort. Nothing worked, and then we just do some body work. We get the muscles, activated and balancing things out. They're like, wow. And I'm like, duh. Sometimes it really seems like that.
Yeah.
And not to be like, whatever. But I feel like,
I think it's important to say because a lot of times you get an injury, the injury sits. And like I remember I think it was my second child, Adi, and I was lifting a weight overhead at the gym. And all of a sudden I hurt something around my neck and shoulder. And I went to PT, and I think I was breastfeeding at the time. They're like, listen, we're not touching it. Like you will wait. We're not giving you drugs. We're not treating it. Just wait and later come back to us.
right.
That later was horrible. I still cannot sleep on my right shoulder. And it irritates the crap out of me because I'm a side sleeper. So every night I sleep on my left beautifully, and then all of a sudden my left side doesn't want to be slept on. I have to sleep on my right. And then I have a disrupted sleep pattern.
And that's the tough thing when something turns into a chronic pain situation. It like our bodies are always trying to adapt and help adjust. So it might adjust in the wrong way.
Correct.
It's like water running down a rock. It keeps going down the same way. It's going to start going that way. And even though it's incorrect. And so we end up with these pain situations because of incorrect and imbalanced
Musculature. That's been an accommodation.
Yes.
And so have you seen people come in, because now I'm coming in, have you seen people come in for e-stim and treatment and been able to unwind it? Sometimes we might not get to perfection, and sometimes we might. That's always the hope. But can they unwind it back to be like 80, 90% better?
Yes.
That's
a lot of
huge.
times. Now, here's on the other side of that coin, someone might have a posture imbalance,
Sure.
but have no pain.
Right.
You really don't, there's no reason to mess with that because their body has adapted, they're functioning, and so you can go in and try to fix things and make things worse.
Sure.
But if somebody's in pain, it's signaling that something's off,
Right.
Then you can step in and say, well, where can we see there's some imbalances? Where can we strengthen the muscle?
Sure.
And where can we calm things down over? Like there's a lot of different things to manipulate. And also you can't forget diet, which is where this whole functional medicine, this is a whole nother thing. But
So are you guiding
diet,
your patients on that? Are you starting those
slowly.
conversations?
Slow. At this point, it's a whole nother thing in itself.
Sure.
So if I can just guide them to take a better multivitamin sometimes, a better B12, something that's just because I don't like to do things unless I feel like I'm absolutely know what I'm doing.
Sure.
So I can see just in doing that, and as I learn, I want to learn because I want to incorporate that at some point.
Sure.
I think it's very important that people understand how much nutrition and sleep
Yes.
and proper supplementation.
Of course.
You can have great supplementation, but eat donuts all day long, and it's not gonna. It's like throwing good at bad. It's not gonna work, and you're gonna create inflammation in your body that's gonna exacerbate any injury you might have.
Correct.
So sometimes even chronic low back pain, it can be an inflammatory thing that's not even mechanical. It could be something just over inflammation in the body. So what's their diet like? What all the things like that. We live in a toxic environment. There's it's got to be mitigated somehow. So that all ties into it.
Absolutely. No, it does. So do you have any other cool patient stories like that you can think of that you'd like to share today?
I did have one guy one time, I'll never forget this guy, because he had a problem with his kind of lower back, upper glute area since high school. And he was really nervous to come in and get any body work. But I said, let's just do a couple of things.
Sure.
So we did a couple of things. And we got some mobility going in his hips and, and all that. With a combination of acupuncture, I think I did do some stim and some body work, mobility kind of things. And he calls me the next day. He's like, it's like gone. He's like, I've had this since high school. He's like,
wow.
That's what I said. I thought for sure we'd be treating this for a long time.
Sure.
Because a lot of the chronic things, the longer they've had it, the longer it takes to fix,
Correct.
And so that was like, it's those moments that you just really are happy that you could make somebody's day.
Yeah.
And I think my other absolute favorite patients are another one came in with also a back situation that was chronic. And we did a treatment, and he has said he had gone out to dinner and it started to tighten up again. And then all of a sudden something just like let go. And he's like, my pain was gone, like gone. Am I gone? He's like, gone.
Wow.
Like, is it still gone? He's like, yes. And he was very skeptical. He was like, I'm skeptical, but I'm open. I'm like, okay. Bring me your skeptical.
Sure.
I am so all about the skeptical people because they end up being the best patients ever.
Sure. It's true.
It's true.
It's true. That happens to me too. People are like, turmeric. You think turmeric can do all that? I'm like, I'm telling you. And they'll say, I don't believe in supplements, but I'll take it once.
Yeah.
And that's all I need is take it once.
I don't even know why they don't believe in supplements. That's the funny thing. Why don't you believe in supplements? Like,
it was probably not introduced to them, or
I know that's
wasn't part of their lifestyle.
That's my point.
My dad was obsessed with vitamins, so every day we had a vitamin box. He's like, "You need A, you need E, you need D, you need C." Since elementary school.
Like, I bet you believe in Advil, don't you?
Right? I know that's easy to pop. It's
what
funny
I mean?
How many people,
believe in supplements. Okay.
I know. And speaking of turmeric and inflammation, will you share that story? I've met one of your patients who loved it.
Yeah, well, the turmeric is a big hit. Yeah, for sure. My firefighter, he still has to this day 8 herniations from an accident years ago, and big strong guy, but he's always in pain. Well, it's the only thing, and he is a supplement researcher. Like, he knows his supplements and what works for him and what doesn't, and he's very smart. And we tried the turmeric with the inflam relief with him. This must be about 5 years ago now, and he's like, if he runs out, he's like, order me some more. I'm running short. He goes, it's the only thing that helps him. Awesome. And because, of course, he doesn't want to be on any other type of inflammatory because they'll mess up his stomach and all the things that they can do, So it's a big hit.
Awesome.
It's a big hit. And anyone that comes in that has any type of, just shoring up your body. I take it every day,
Yep.
Menopausal symptoms, just different things that happen. It's fabulous.
Yeah.
And the ingredients are so pure.
Thank you.
Yeah. I tell people, I'm like, any turmeric you have, no, just throw it away. It's no good. Shivani's the best. She did, this is the best product of it.
Thank you.
Yeah. So
I try to get everyone to understand how good it is, and it just takes time.
It's hard.
It takes time.
It's trying to explain to people our side of medicine. Everyone understands Western medicine, and the quick fix, and they don't even understand why it works, but they just want to be out of pain.
Right.
So if you can explain to them how this can help with that and educate, I think the more educated people are, the better. And people are getting more educated because there is a balance. There's nothing wrong with Western medicine.
Nothing.
But it has its place.
Exactly.
Just like our business has its place. Right. For us to overtake what Western medicine should do is also wrong.
Yeah.
So, but people understand that more.
Sure.
If you say, listen, my mom, for instance, this is a great story. I have her on some supplements to help her with some things, and one of them has lion's mane in it. Mm-hmm. She's like, I'm not taking that. I'm like, why? She's like, it's got lion's mane in it. Yeah. I'm like, Mom, it's not from a lion. Yeah. It's not. Yeah. They just call it that. Right. So, because there's some funny names.
Sure, there are.
And
That's
I'm like,
true.
promise you, it's not from a lion.
That's so funny.
We laughed. We both laughed.
But it's an interesting, I mean, it's a relevant assumption. Like
it is. So there are a lot
know.
of funny names to some of the supplements, you know, and so.
Yeah, no, there are. And one thing I wanted to ask you about is your travels, because I know you've posted a lot over the years since we've known each other. I've seen you do these like excursions into, I don't know, Madagascar. Like I can't even name the
there yet, but
the places. And the reason I bring it up is, as a practitioner, I get to know all of you guys, and you are one of those people who makes the time to have this whole other side of your life. You don't just say, I'm a practitioner and I'm in Boca del Rey and this is all I do.
Yeah.
You are active. You are out there. You are pushing your body. You're doing these scuba trips. Will you share kind of your mindset around it? Because it's so beautiful, I think.
I turned 50 and I just decided that, everyone talks about going here and traveling there, and then they never go. And, I lost my dad when I was 22. And so he never got to do these things. So I said, you know what? I'm going to do them. So I make the effort to, you have one life. Like nothing's guaranteed.
I know.
And then of course, as the universe happens, all of a sudden I have all these friends that are wanting to travel. So I'm like, oh my gosh. And I had this one 80-something-year-old lady, and she's a patient of mine, and I would say, I'm thinking about going on this trip, because it's not like I just say willy-nilly. I get like, should I go? Do I have the finances? Do I take off the time? I kind of go through the process. Sure. And every time I talk to her, she'd like, just go. Just go. And the next trip coming, listen, so I just went on this one trip, but this thing, my friend, and she's Africa, and just go.
You need a friend like that.
I know. I'm like, you're my patient forever.
Yeah.
Because the perspective, but it's why, because, he never got to do those things. And I want to do them so that when you get to a certain point, it's harder to travel. It's harder to do these things.
Sure.
So I want to do the things that I can do.
While you can do them.
While I can. And, everything's within reason. I mean, I would travel 24/7 if I could. But there's a diminishing return. You have to have balance there too.
Right.
But I'm also fortunate to have some really good friends that like to travel. And
awesome.
I can go wherever, all different friends that do different things.
Nice.
So
that's very
fun.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I recently, my father passed away when I was 23 and he was only 52.
Yeah.
And now that I'm 42, I think that's insane.
My dad was 43.
It's insane.
Insane. I know. Insane.
Life that's life cut in less than half.
So the other part of this, before I forget, because this was important, is that one of the philosophies behind that is, I want to work to live.
Sure.
Not live to work.
Correct. Yeah.
That's it.
Most of us don't actually apply that lesson to our lives. I'm obsessed with my work. I will choose work over travel. Too. I do travel. I'm very lucky because I want to take my kids to India. I want to expose them to India. I happen to love Italy and eating in Italy. So I have certain obsessions
on my list
that I will make room for.
I'll go with you.
And I want to go to Bali one day in my life, and I want to learn scuba diving. So there's a lot on my bucket list. Yeah. And I'm so obsessed with my work. I won't make as much time as I should or could. So it's just fun to watch you because I'm like, Holly is out there and doing the cool things, and I could take a week and go do something that's, a new skill.
Yeah, and there's a time and a place because, I don't know, 20 years ago, it was beyond my budget to do. Sure. Well, no, I did go somewhere. I did get going.
Yeah.
But, you do what you can.
Right.
It doesn't have to be to Europe. It doesn't have to be wherever.
It could be here. I travel a lot domestically in the U.S.
Listen, I put on my schedule. Here's another good thing. Every 7 weeks, I did an experiment.
Okay.
And I noticed that every 7 weeks I would get like ornery.
Sure.
Right? Because I had my schedule overbooked. I was busy. And about the 7-week mark, I said, okay, this is consistency. So I put on my calendar now a Holly mini vacay.
Okay.
I don't have to go anywhere. Sure. I just have to make sure I take off like a Friday and a Monday, like a few days, and just like not work.
Sure.
And just go do something fun.
Right.
Not be in the office on the weekends, just take
and
that break.
The balance.
So that's the balance too. It doesn't have to be traveling around the world or whatever.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think we can do so much self-care and in a staycation mode.
Part of it.
Right here. You don't have to go far.
Exactly.
We have scuba diving here. We have snorkeling in Key West,
Yeah.
2 hours from here. Like anything is possible.
Diving's great here. People come from around the world to dive here.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Fort Lauderdale, Jupiter, this whole area is
Wow.
absolutely.
Okay, cool. Good to know.
You should definitely, if you want to scuba dive, you should totally get into that.
I wanted to try it, and then I was like,
Yeah.
well, I have to go to the Bahamas or someplace.
No. Oh, my God, no. No.
Got it. So I'll call you since you're my master
sure.
expert on the topic.
For sure.
Cool. Well, I wanted to bring that element in because a lot of times when you meet a practitioner, you're like, okay, well, all they're going to talk about to me is acupuncture and what they do. And I know that you're an epic practitioner. I hear about it all the time, but there's this other dimension to you. And it's so beautiful because it's such a powerful reminder of the balance in a holistic practitioner. We're meant to have all those dimensions to us so we can bring that groundedness and centeredness and joy into the practice.
Right.
And hold that space for the patient in front
Right.
of us.
What good does it do if we're like preaching all of these things and we don't embody them ourselves to the best of our ability? I mean, we all have things to work on, obviously, but it's very important to, bring our best selves to the table because that's what they're coming to see. They're not coming to get a prescription.
Right. Right.
They're coming to be healed in some way.
Exactly.
And so in order to help facilitate that person to heal themselves, which is I think what we do, we use our instruments, we have to have that energy to do that.
Of course.
So, yeah.
Is there anything else that you'd like to share? Any other fun patient stories? Anything else you've seen lately in your work that kind of you want to share with our audience today?
I think people are becoming much more aware in general. I think that since COVID, that was turned everybody upside down.
Yeah.
And I think despite the differences in political things, which is a whole nother thing that
Sure.
I just
I don't get into.
useless to me.
Yeah.
I think that people have become much more aware of their health.
Yeah.
And sometimes a little bit too much, you get a little paranoid about that. But
Sure.
I think there's more awareness in our food supply and all these things. And also taking the time. We couldn't take the time during COVID to go anywhere. And so now, people are getting out and about more, but they're realizing that it's important.
Yeah.
There was one other thing I was going to say about that. I don't remember, but basically I think that there's a lot of shifting going on in a good way.
Sure. I think in COVID, life got real scary. And I think people realized that no one has all the answers. Yeah. People can try to have all the answers, but no one really had all the answers at the time because it was novel. It was new. Yeah. So all of a sudden, we have personal sovereignty and we have to take responsibility for our own health in a way that we never really had to before because we were fine. Everything was fine. It's like when I ask someone, how's your sleep? They're like, it's fine. I'm like, fine is absolute BS.
Right.
I don't want to hear fine. Fine means normal, average. And who knows what your average is? Your average could be garbage, right?
Average is usually average.
Average is usually average. And here in the U.S., it's usually not as good as it could be in any hemisphere, right? So I think you're right. People in COVID really woke up.
Yeah.
And now it's like you are awake about your health and you know the time you need to take, but we're piling on top of it the race pace of life before, travel and things from before. And so all of a sudden it's overwhelming.
Yeah. And people want to know. I don't think people want to be on a lot of medications. They don't want to, all of these ailments, and they want to know, they just don't know what to do.
Yeah, it's true. They don't want to be on 10 medications with 10 side effects, with 10 problems.
Yeah.
And then you're treating the side effects and all of that.
Yeah. And so to understand, to get to the root cause of things is such a, it's just where it's at.
Absolutely.
So I think that that excites me with people these days.
Yeah. Is they're open and they're ready and they know that there's a root cause to be addressed.
Exactly.
And so they're coming to find you to say, hey, can we go figure this out?
All of us.
Yeah.
All of us practitioners. I do have to post more stuff, though, on my Instagram. I noticed that for the last year or two, I was posting so much stuff about, you should do this and this article and all the things.
Sure.
And then I'm like, I'm tired. So I just posted all the vacations. Everybody thinks this person doesn't even work. They just go on vacation.
No, I think it's okay.
So now I'm getting back into educational things.
No, I think it's also good to like illuminate that we're multidimensional,
Yeah,
you know?
well,
But yes, we have to kind of remind people that we are practitioners. Because if you read
now
my
and then.
stories, it's all about my life and not about like, hey, you should use Ayurveda for this, this, and this.
Yeah.
You know?
But it's fun.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today.
This is great.
Yeah, it was really nice to connect with you and get to share you. I think, you know, if people understood all the different types of practitioners that exist and how each of you approaches your modality from your direction.
Right.
Every acupuncture practitioner I've met is different. Every chiropractor I've met is different. Orthopedics, different. Functional medicine, different.
Yes, and I send people to other acupuncturists sometimes that are out of my wheelhouse that I think they could do a better job with because this is what I do and I know what I do.
Right.
You know, and so, yeah, it's really, I think we can work together. And I think everyone's starting to work together a lot more even.
Absolutely.
Because we know we can help each other and it makes it a lot of fun.
And I love interconnecting you guys because you're all such powerhouses. And so if you understood each other and knew each other, that's why I held an event last year or this year for it. Because I was like, well, if they all knew each other,
I was out of town.
It would support each patient that much more.
And the Western medicine docs, a lot of them are becoming much more attuned because they know that the ones that know what they're doing are not going to be all, you know, foo-foo and butterflies.
Sure.
We'll send people to them when it's not within our scope or something's not working and needs more serious intervention.
Yeah.
That's how it should be.
Exactly. There should be this collegiate trust and relationship so that everyone's getting the best care.
Exactly. That's what it's all about.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast
Shivani.
Today. I appreciate it.
It's wonderful.
And I'll see you next time.
Sounds great.
Thanks for joining me for this episode. Check out our sponsor, Fusionary Formulas, the potent turmeric supplement used by doctors around the U.S. for patients with pain and inflammation. www.fusionaryformulas.com. I'm your host, Dr. Shivani Gupta. For more, visit shivanigupta.com. Subscribe to this podcast in Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Click the follow button or subscribe in any of the apps that you use. That's all I've got for you on the Fusionary Health podcast this week. You have the power to transform your health and achieve vibrant health starting today.